Oh, hello. Welcome to Murfreesboro Storytellers. We're coming to you this month from the Murfreesboro Municipal Airport. I'm in one of the MTSU flight simulators located on the airport grounds, and our guests this month are Ron Ferrara, who is chairman of the MTSU Aerospace Department, and Chad Gehrke, manager of the Murfreesboro Municipal Airport. Stay tuned. Welcome to Murfreesboro Storytellers. Today we're located on the campus of the Murfreesboro Municipal Airport, located on Memorial Boulevard in Murfreesboro. And our topic is aerospace and aviation, its history and its present situation in the community and its future for Murfreesboro, Rutherford County, and Tennessee. We have as our guest today Dr. Ron Ferrara, who is chairman of the MTSU Aerospace Department. Ron, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And Chad Gehrke, who is a manager of the Murfreesboro Municipal Airport.
Thank you, John.
Thank you for letting us be here on the grounds of the Murfreesboro Municipal Airport. And Ron, particularly where we are, tell us about this building.
We're in the MTSU Flight Simulation Building. As you can see behind us, we have a number of our flight simulators located here. This was the original building that the MTSU Aerospace had when I came here in 1985.
All right.
This was the only facility we had at the time.
Aviation has quite a history in Murfreesboro, as I recall. Many folks watching probably don't realize, Chad, that this airport originally was on the MTSU campus.
That's correct. It was where the business aerospace building is now, and the ROTC building was one of the original hangars there. So it's got a history, and then moved over here in 1952, thereabout, to this present location.
Yeah, Miller Lanier ran the airport for many years, trained many pilots, and I believe Clyde Noah before him was the manager of the airport.
I think that in 1942, the civilian pilot training program was held here, and with that ended until 1948, Noel was running this part, and it was financed by the Aeronautics Commission to continue pilot training. And then in 1948, Miller Lanier, I believe, took over, and in 52, of course, they moved out here.
And as I say, many airline pilots of yesterday and today are graduates of the MTSU Aerospace program.
No, we were just talking about two of them, John Ellington and his son.
That's right, yeah, two very, very, very prominent graduates, and still, I'm sure, many in the air flying over the country and over the world. Chad, you came to be manager of the airport. What was the transition there when you came?
The airport, the city of Murfreesboro, really took over the management and operation of the airport back in 1994. They went from a fixed base operator, a business running the field, to the city having a representation out here and managing the field. And it was really Mayor Jackson that was really instrumental in that process, and really worked well with the university. The whole thing is based on a relationship with the university, and it's a self-supportive department within the city of Murfreesboro. And again, the relationship both physically out here and economically is what allows that to happen here with the university here on this site.
In addition to the university being here and the training it does, what are the other aspects of the operation of the airport?
Well, this is a full-fledged service airport, general aviation airport. So we have flight training here for the public, maintenance for the aircraft that are here at the airport. We have charter flights, charter companies that can fly people from Murfreesboro or wherever to other parts of the country. And then we also have maintenance of the aircraft and sales of aircraft. People put aircraft together, fix them up, and then sell them. So we have businesses flying in to check on their businesses here in Murfreesboro. So besides the university makes up about 60% of our operation.
Okay.
So they're a huge part of the operations here. But the other part is typical for a community this size, what's going on here at this airport serving the community.
What size aircraft are you able to accommodate?
We have, well, everything from the small flight trainers to the business aircraft that we see here are a King Air 200, which can seat 10 to 12 people. Some small jets like a Citation jet or a Lear might come in here. Those are small jets, maybe 8, 9 passengers at most is typically what we see here.
And you're in the process of getting the runway, the main runway extended, I believe. Is that about to happen?
That's correct. We just, about a year or two ago, went through a long airport layout planning process, and also went through an environmental assessment to look at future plans for this airport and the runway and how we can better serve the community. And through that process, we were able to get plans approved to extend the runway 852 feet. So that currently right now we're in the process of getting the funds in place and design so that next year we can complete that project.
That's wonderful. It'll be a great addition to the airport. Ron, tell me about everything that goes on here for MTSU at the airport in particular, and we'll talk about other things campus related.
Well, as everyone knows, I guess we have a pretty large flight school.
By the way, you have a very large plane out here too, do you not? A 727?
727, yeah, that was a gift from FedEx. I'd like to say we're going to take that off in the morning, but that'll never fly again.
It landed, but will not take off.
That's it. But we fly, we have a fleet of about 30 training airplanes, including 2 multi-engine airplanes. We also have a King Air that's used for university travel, things like the golf team, and of course the president. We have de Havilland Beaver, which is a kind of a unique airplane that there's an interesting story behind that, but it's an airplane that was built in the 1950s, and it draws a lot of attention. We use it to fly into fly-ins and things like that. We also have some tailwheel airplanes for training. In addition to the actual flying, we have, of course, all the simulators you see here, and a complete maintenance operation to maintain our own aircraft. And in addition to that, we have a maintenance training school located here. So we've got a full-fledged aviation school out here. It covers everything from mechanics to, to pilots to dispatchers, you name it, and we do it here.
So when a student comes out here with a degree in aerospace, they're able to either do maintenance, be a pilot, or fly themselves as well?
Sure. I mean, and we put out about, I guess, an average of 300 certificates a year, flight certificates out here, and that's a pretty large number. The largest flight school in the state, without a doubt.
Tell me about the ATC facility you have on the campus.
All right, the ATC, the Air Traffic Control Facility, is a one-of-a-kind air traffic control simulation. It's a 360-degree tower plus radar, non-radar operations. It's a $3.2 million facility that's located in the business aerospace building. And right now we have 62, I believe, air traffic control students going through it.
Okay.
If anybody has not seen that, they need to come out and look at it.
Oh, they need to look. It is just marvelous. And you can simulate, I believe, any aircraft in the world on
any
there?
Airport. And virtually any aircraft.
Airport rather than aircraft.
Matter of fact, we did a simulation for the National Guard. Their air traffic control unit was being deployed to Afghanistan. So the folks programmed in the very airport they were going to, and they came down here and trained, I think, for 2 days to get used to operations at that airport. So when they got in country, they were already familiar with the operations.
Yeah, just amazing. Any additional degree programs planned for aerospace?
Yes. Right now we're looking at establishing an unmanned aerial vehicle bachelor's degree. The latest program that we have is our flight dispatch, which is a FAA certified licensure program where we license dispatchers, but the UAS or UAV program will be a bachelor's degree simply in unmanned aerial vehicles. We don't say drone because that's a bad word, but we're not looking at military type operations. One of the biggest things in the unmanned field right now is things like precision agriculture, forest fire, pipeline patrols, things that we're doing now with fixed wing and rotary wing aircraft. So it's a totally different concept, and people think of UAVs, they think of the military.
Sure.
I mean, we're not talking that type of operation.
As I understand, you're working with a company in West Tennessee with some of that
Yes, a company
work?
called ISR Group, which is the large UAS company that does a lot of Department of Defense work. And again, that's not what we will be doing, obviously, but we do work with them on the hardware, and we are the entity that actually develops the certificates of operation, certificates of authorization to allow them to fly at their location. Matter of fact, we have one on our farm. So we actually have UAVs that we can fly at our farm. So.
Wonderful. I meant to ask you about the one other question about air traffic control training. How does this relate to the training at Oklahoma City? Has that ultimately been the final stop on somebody's training?
Initially, when the air traffic control program was set up by the FAA, graduates of the program would bypass the first 12 weeks of Oklahoma City. Over the years, that's evolved. Oklahoma City has been closed since sequestration. And I may be biased, but we train at a higher level than they do at the Oklahoma training facility. Our students are better prepared. They have a lower washout rate than the students that come out of the FAA Training Academy.
So typically, when they were in operation in Oklahoma City, they would finish here and they have to go on there before they were finally certified?
Basically, they would go from here to a facility and then back to Oklahoma City. In FAA, they're always going through recurrent training throughout their entire career.
Okay, all right. Chad, you've had some TV publicity recently on the Murfreesboro Municipal Airport on the Bravo channel. Tell us about that relationship with Ben Tankard.
Well, one of our customers is the Reverend Ben Tankard and his family, and he owns 2 aircraft that fly out of here.
What type of aircraft does
He has had different aircraft through time. He's had a Skymaster, a 421, 206s, different aircraft that he uses for both his ministry and as you find out from the show, that he's quite a musician. And about every week he takes off on tour from here and goes to different locations all over the country and performs. So it was very important for him, aviation was very important to him, to be able to go out on a Friday night and Saturday night to perform and be back Sunday in the pulpit. So aviation was an important part, and he's a pilot as well. So quite a few of the shots during the recent taping of his show were shot here at the airport with him involved in aviation and the small community that's part of the general aviation out here at the airport.
Yes, some excellent aerial shots at the airport as well as ground shots, giving some good publicity to Murfreesboro and the municipal airport. Any other interesting things going on with you as far as development and other improvements to the airport?
We're always constantly changing, and right now this building, along with another hangar next door, is getting modifications done to it. These, like Dr. Ferrara said, these hangars have been out here for a while, so there's always maintenance to occur on them, and they're always changing. Like he said, this was a maintenance hangar at one time, and there was a need from the university to put these simulators. As you can see, they're quite large and they take up quite a bit of room. Needed a place for them, so we retrofitted once an old maintenance hangar and made it a climate-controlled facility here for all these computers and projectors and everything. So we have a lot of little projects like that going on besides the runway. We'll also be doing some work on the asphalt. The asphalt's been out here for about 30 years, so we'll have to be putting down new asphalt along with our project, and a road relocation for future MTSU expansion and other hangars that will be going up. So there's a lot going on.
How many of these simulators do we have?
Oh gosh, 5 out here, I believe. Oh no, more than that. There's 3 smaller ones somewhere in here, older ones.
And a student can go into what's a simulated cockpit and, well, simulate actual flying.
The interesting thing is, if you look at that simulator or this one, that's a CRJ, a regional jet. This is a training aircraft like we use. Once you get in there and start to move, you see the Murfreesboro Airport.
Okay.
And when you take off, you see the city of Murfreesboro, or the dump, whichever way you're going. It's done through Google Earth.
Oh.
And it's amazing. I mean, and you can stand next to one like this, and if you're not used to it, it's just standing on the edge, and you'll get vertigo just from watching it go around. You're not moving, but you feel like you are. These will soon all be moved to the new flight simulator building that's being built along the new road that Chad was talking about on the north end of the runway, and this will revert to a maintenance hangar again for our maintenance school.
You have some construction going on out in front of the airport facility here. Will that change access to the airport and involve that in any way? Sure.
There's the new Walmart. One of the 2 Walmarts that are going up in Murfreesboro is right out here on just north of Airport Road. And there will be some improvements that Walmart will be doing to improve Airport Road, widen it, and then also to facilitate Walmart's utility needs. There'll be all new utilities coming into the airport as well that they're providing. So there'll be some benefit to the airport from that construction. You know, in a lot of North Murfreesboro, this whole area, this whole corridor, Murfreesboro, we're going to be seeing change over the next few years.
Is there any possibility of ever having any type of commercial aviation service through this airport?
I would say that the businesses that we have, the charter service, that kind of thing, as far as airlines are concerned, we're well served with Nashville International.
Sure.
And if there's any type of movement towards the commercial type airline service away from Nashville for some reason, I would say it would be with the Smyrna Airport.
Be Smyrna rather
Yes.
than, yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly a larger facility, longer runways and
Right.
other equipment there.
You know, our primary mission here is with the university and training.
Sure.
You know, from the days of airport campus, airport to here, flight training has been our key, and I don't see us really leaving that mission.
You still have a number of people other than university students coming in for flight training?
Oh, absolutely. You know, people have always wanted to learn to fly, so they'll take that up, and it often starts with a discovery flight. People come to the local FBO. Right now, it's Murfreesboro Aviation,
Okay.
and they get a discovery flight.
FBO, fixed base
Space operator,
Okay.
a business
Right.
here at the airport.
Okay.
And they take a 30-minute flight, and that usually leads to the next lesson and the next lesson, and pretty soon they have their license, and maybe they're buying an aircraft.
Okay.
You know, it's a neat progression.
Just many for hobby or for fun, and others,
Absolutely.
I guess, for direct business.
And some for
relationship.
business, and some for just for pleasure, or some go on and do the airline career or military.
How long a series of training would that involve to become an airline pilot? What does that involve, Ron?
Well, you start off with your private pilot certificate, which
Okay.
takes about 40 hours minimum.
Okay.
Then you do an instrument rating.
40 hours, you're talking about 40 flying hours?
Yes.
Okay.
Then you do an instrument rating. Then you do a commercial rating. Then you do a multi-engine rating.
Okay.
So our program basically, if you just did flying, it would be a full 2 years with nothing but flying.
Nothing but flying.
And to do it through an FBO is about the same. I mean, you have to get the same ratings. Most people will get the ratings I mentioned, but they'll get their certified flight instructor, certified instrument flight instructor, multi-engine flight instructor. That allows them then to work and be paid as a pilot while they're building up their hours. To fly for a major airline, and even a regional airline now, you need to have 1,500 hours in an air transport rating. That's a requirement that's a result of the accident in New York about 2 years ago. So in a flight school, you end up with 200 to 300 hours. So you have a lot of hours that you have to generate. The quickest way to do that is as a flight instructor. So.
You mentioned the vacancies in air traffic controllers, and a lot of people need to fill those positions. Is the same true with a lot of the pilots
Oh, yes.
reaching retirement age?
Yeah, we were contacted by an airline out in Colorado. They're right now are short 99 pilots, and that's a
One
region-
airline?
One airline, yes. And it has to do with this, the FAA or Congress actually requiring this 1,500 hours. The major airlines have a lot of retirements, so they have to reach down into the regional airlines and pull out their most experienced pilots.
Sure.
That leaves a void for the younger pilots, but now they need to have the 1,500 hours before they can be hired. So it's a difficult situation, and many of the airlines now are parking airplanes. They don't have the pilots.
Don't have the pilots to man
Right.
them. What's the typical retirement age for a pilot?
Required retirement in an airline is 65. It was raised from 65 years ago.
Yes.
So was that to be able to meet the demand?
No, it was because people 65 years, between 60 and 65 were still healthy enough to fly.
Sure.
The 60-year-old retirement age was kind of arbitrary, I think. And so they finally got the FAA to agree to allow them to go to 65. And now those people now hitting 65, so they have to retire now. There's no more
I see.
options for them.
What changes do you see in the aircraft industry? Either one of you building bigger and bigger jets carrying more and more people, or is that the trend?
Actually, it's not, I don't think.
not.
Airbus, of course, went with the largest airplane now passenger airplane now flying. Boeing went in the other direction.
Okay.
Small, high-tech, light, fuel-efficient, fast. So, I mean, there's a limit to the size of the airplane you can operate simply because the infrastructure required is so demanding. The large Airbus can only land in 4 or 5 airports.
It's
I think,
very
in the
limited with it.
US.
And
Yeah.
that'll carry how many passengers?
Oh gosh.
400, 500, I believe, is
Easily.
maximum.
Depending on their seating arrangement, yeah. So
So the trend is the other way then, to build a faster, more efficient,
I think
smaller aircraft.
it is. Obviously, Airbus doesn't agree with me, but
Sure, I understand.
it seems like most of the airplanes that are going into production, the commercial type airplanes, they're actually limiting the size somewhat.
Okay.
And it's a matter of efficiency.
I think a lot of the trend is efficiency too.
Right.
Efficient engines, the materials that they're using are much lighter, but still not giving up the strength. And that's what we're seeing Boeing doing with some of those new wings and designs that they're using. And we've seen a lot of technical advance in the smaller aircraft. The university invested quite a few years ago in a whole new fleet of aircraft. And they went to a composite material instead of aluminum, which made them lighter, stronger, faster. And then what's inside the cockpit has changed dramatically. When I started here in '94, it was all Cessna, Piper. Now we see these new aircraft like Cirrus and Diamond that are out here, composite material. And then what's inside the cockpit with all the latest GPS technology and communication technology that we never had before. Everything was based on radio communication. Out here at the airport, it looks like we have a cell tower. I wish we were, because we would be renting and making money off of that. But it's a ADS-B tower. And ADS-B is the future of our nation's radar. It's going to replace radar, and the ADS-B is how we're going to keep track of aircraft around our nation that are flying, and the capabilities of that itself are tremendous for see and avoid and in our air traffic control system. And that's another example of where the university was involved in some research that allowed us to participate in that process a little bit faster than everybody else across the nation.
Say that terminology again, of what you call it.
ADS-B, and it's got a long acronym
I'll let you
for
handle
something surveillance and security and something. Yes.
basically, air traffic control is going to satellite-based rather than radar-based, and it's called next generation air traffic control.
Up to the satellite and back down, then, right? Okay.
And ADS-B is a part of that.
I see, okay. Well, that's wonderful. We're on the cutting edge of all of the developments then.
You know, and Dr. Ferrara went over a long list of different areas that students are going into. And that is probably one of the most attractive things about MTSU. And that as a student, and I was one of those students that was looking at getting into aviation, but I wasn't sure what area I wanted to get into. And there's only a handful of universities that have such a wide variety of classes in certain areas of aviation. So if a student comes in and they say, well, I'd like to be a pilot, but maybe maintenance is my calling, or air traffic control, they can start, in an area and eventually, hopefully by their senior year, find their niche, find where they're going to go. The other thing that's attractive here at MTSU is the number of internships. Dr. Ferrara talked about a relationship with an airline, with air traffic control, the FAA, the different airport authorities around here. They all offer some sort of internship or cooperative program that the students can take advantage of.
So they can get on-the-job training then while they're still a student.
Absolutely. Not only are they getting the degree when they walk out, but they're getting some hands-on and the networking that occurs with that. I wouldn't be in the position I am in today without that networking. Okay. And I took advantage of 2 internships at various airports.
Where were they?
Smyrna. I was one of the first internships with Steve Fitzhugh
Okay.
and John Black, were the director and manager at Smyrna Rutherford County Airport Authority. And then I worked at the Nashville Airport Authority for a semester. And those contacts, I still have them today, and they're still mentors and still friends and all that. So I think those are some very attractive features for students that are looking at going into aviation, and why MTSU is such a draw.
And Chad, you are a graduate of the MTSU
Yes,
program.
I am.
Yeah. What attracted you to MTSU?
Well, I was looking at the air traffic control program at that time, but it was nowhere near what it is today.
Oh, sure.
And I went into the airport management side, administration side, and I've really enjoyed it. And I was given the opportunity to stay here and work with the university. Wonderful. So part of the great thing that I get to do is still work with students in my capacity here. And we always see the graduates come back and visit. And it's interesting to see where they are, what they're flying, who they're working with. You know, and that's just part of a joy of working with the job, and I'm sure Dr. Ferrara gets a few students on campus if they can find a parking place and go visit him.
We have 2 parking garages.
See what the problem
parking places now added to the campus.
One thing that's interesting that Chad was talking about, we have what are called bridge programs with some airlines where they guarantee our students an interview. ExpressJet from Atlanta is coming up next week to do a direct hire here. They'll be interviewing out here at the airport. So.
Wonderful.
When an aerospace student goes into the pro pilot program, first they have to put in an entry form or something to even get involved into the program or included in the program. But it's quite an investment for them as well. When other students are going to math lab or accounting lab, these students are going to flight lab, and it is on their own dime. So whatever the tuition is for the university, then it's their flight time. And we're talking about some of the latest and greatest general aviation aircraft, and that comes with a price. So these students are investing from day one if they're going to go into the pro pilot program and work for the airlines, or if they have the opportunity to go with the military, which might actually assist them in paying for their training. It's quite an investment. So besides their tuition, there's also this paying for all that flight training, hundreds of hours, 200 to 300 hours of flight training.
Chad, how large is your staff here at the airport?
I'm sorry.
How many people do you have?
Well, I'm the only full-time staff, and I have about 6 or 7 part-time staff, and they're a great staff, and they come from the military background to the airlines. I have one of Larry Lusinski, who started flight training here with Miller Lanier at this airport and his brothers, and he flew for TWA. Miller Lanier was always getting these guys jobs and finding a way to get them in the airlines. He retired with TWA and is now full circle helping me fuel aircraft and helping me take care of the airport here. So it's a really neat thing.
His father Lou ran the donut depot.
That's right,
years.
Lou's Donuts.
And on the wall it said, as you travel through life, brother, whatever be your goal, keep your eye upon the donut, not upon the hole. Ron, tell me about your background now, before you came to MTSU.
Well, my background started in Connecticut, as I told you earlier. I went to the University of Connecticut, and my undergraduate major was Chinese history. So
interesting.
I wanted to go into the Foreign Service, and in a way I did. I ended up in Vietnam. Not exactly what I intended, but I was a pilot in the Army, and when I got out of the Army, I went and got my A&P mechanics ratings. I ran a little airport for a while, and I came up here after MTSU beat University of Kentucky in 1984 in the NCAA tournament. And I looked up to see who they were, and I found out who they were, and they had a job opening, so I showed up and I got hired.
So the boy from Connecticut wound up in Murfreesboro.
That's right.
Wonderful. Gentlemen, thank you. This has been so interesting. Any other closing comments you'd like to make before we wind up the program?
It's been a pleasure to be included.
Yeah. Congratulations, and thank you for what you're doing to just make this another part of the great Murfreesboro community, and what you're contributing to the national effort, if you will, military as well as civilian effort. Great, wonderful work. I didn't ask you how many faculty members you have with the department.
Faculty members 14, flight instructors about another 15 or 16, staff out here at the airport 8 or 10 more. So,
Ron Ferrara, Dr. Ron Ferrara, the chairman of the MTSU Aerospace Department, has been our guest on the Murfreesboro Storytellers, along with Chad Gehrke, who is the manager of the Murfreesboro Municipal Airport. This has been Murfreesboro Storytellers, and we thank you for joining us for another story about our great community.